Okay, hello everyone. Welcome back to another episode in the Explorica Motorsport and Engineering series. My name is Saidat. I am the motorsport content lead here at Skillshark. And just as a recap, Skillshark EdTech is an academically motivated startup imparting 21st century skills in the youth of today. We've been conducting a unique collection of courses and webinars over the past few months, focusing on specific niche subjects which may not otherwise be accessible. One of them is, of course, motorsport, and then we've also been specializing in developing electric vehicle specific courses. So, up till now, we've had multiple teams and racers from different fields of racing that have participated in our Explorica series, and we've learned a lot about the specific pieces of technology that they've used. One thing is evident from the side of mobility. The entire market is shifting electric, and we are expecting to see a huge surge in electric vehicles in perhaps the next one decade. Now, of course, people are one key aspect is actually trying to understand how this electric energy is actually developed. A lot of people say that achieving carbon neutrality might be possible, but getting a net zero is almost not is basically not possible because you need to somehow spend energy in order to harness that electric power. Now there are a lot of renewable sources of energy, and it has been a topic that a lot of people have been researching on. Coincidentally, there is one source of energy that's been constantly powering more or less everything that goes on this planet. That's about 150 million kilometers away, and it's just a natural nuclear reactor or sun that's burning down on us. So today we have a team that has years developing prototypes that harness solar energy. So without further ado, allow me to introduce Manipal's official solar car team, Solar Mobile. So just as a small introduction, can you all maybe give a personal introduction of yourselves and what exactly you do in the team?
Right, I'll start. I'm Chirag. I work for the structures and aerodynamics team. Uh, yeah.
Hi, I'm Kelly. I'm part of the mechanical subsystem. I work under suspensions under vehicle dynamics.
Hi, my name is Shivit. I'm currently working on high voltage systems in a solar mobile, and it mainly deals with the moving parts, moving and most important electric parts in a solar car.
Hello everyone, I'm Akshat Sharma and I'm also in electrical subsystem and I'm the part of the low voltage system in the electrical subsystem. Basically our subsystem deals with the small things, that is the low voltage components that are responsible for communication and other security purposes in the car.
Yeah, I'm Aryan, and I'm part of the management subsystem of Solar. So essentially, we are like the coordinating branch between the different subsystems within Solar Mobile. We handle the publicity and the sponsorship and all the other non-technical factors which are going into making this car.
Right. So it's again awesome to see the different domains that come into play when it comes to developing an engineering marvel such as the one that you're developing. There are multiple specialities and fields of engineering that are involved. Not to mention management as well, which is crucial in running this project. Now we'll get into those details a little later on. Can we start from the beginning? Where did it all begin? How did your team start off, and what motivated and inspired the founders of the team to start this initiative?
Well, essentially, Solar Mobile was founded. It was founded in 2011 by a group of undergraduate students in MIT Manipal at the time. So, the goal was, since we identified that the current means of energy are not really going to be sustainable enough for the future, and we saw solar energy as one of the most viable candidates that can potentially take the world into a cleaner and safer future, right? So that was the idea behind Solar Mobile coming into existence.
Okay, and how many members did it start off as? I'm quite sure, just as any student team that starts off at their humble roots, it would have been a steep upward climb from that point, right? Can you maybe tell us a few anecdotes or incidents that stand out in the team?
So right now, what we are working is on an adventure class. So as you said, what there have been different ups and downs we our team faces. So for us, the main was that for us, it's not a mainstream student project or a student team, because generally there are a lot of student competitions in which student teams can participate in. But for us, as a very budding team, it was very difficult because the main competitions which were happening were not in India for solar cars, and for a team to simply come up with a world level car is not easy. So we had quite a difficult time coming up into a competing zone as a team. So our most of our cars in the beginning were more towards a random car instead of pointing towards any competition. So it was a little directionless. But since everybody was so motivated towards having a viable car, a commercially viable solar car, because everybody was looking towards electric vehicles, but just skipping on the part of being solar. So that was something which is quite a challenge.
Okay, got it. Right. So, just to clarify, so it basically started off with just a concept. You kind of got up to speed, made a couple of prototypes in the beginning, found your way around what a solar car exactly is because it was a new topic, correct? Great, great. That's fine. That's so it always starts off over there. But as of now, you obviously do take part in competitions, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. So could you run us through the specific goals and objectives of these competitions? We've seen Formula Student where it's more about agility, getting the right lap time design. We've had a super mileage team on board that focuses more on maximizing the fuel efficiency of their car or their engine in particular. It's done in terms of the different domains and the specific design of your car.
Like me being from a technical subsystem, I can definitely tell you that the competitions we are participating in now, they are more of an uh, overall assessment, because since this being a domain which is looked upon to for commercial use and not for sports use, that's why they check the safety, they check the viability in terms of how much neutral you are, how for how long can you run directly on solar power, because a lot of solar concepts right now, what they've been doing is taking part of their energy from pre-charged batteries. And again, how good is the handling is, we want such cars to be in hands of everyday people. So can everyday people handle such cars? So it's more of a all round assessment.
Got it. So that basically means you need to create something that can potentially be feasible in a commercial market. So it's not just a prototype for a specific application. It's more of a vehicle that can actually be brought into the roads, right?
Yeah.
That's great. That's great. That's quite insightful. Again, something really unique in this competition, which kind of gives it a spice of its own. So let's just get to the specific team structure. Obviously, it's a multidisciplinary project, and all of you have told that you're from different subsystems and domains. Could you run us through the specific team structure? Just to start us, I actually went through your team structure that's there on your website. Really well laid out website, by the way. I'm really impressed. It was really cool watching, like looking at all those gifs and stuff that's been placed around. Well structured for sure. So it says here you have an electrical team, a mechanical team, and then you also have the management team. So how do all three of these tie in together?
Well,
Okay.
essentially, okay, Kelly, go ahead.
I'll go ahead. So I'll speak about the mechanical subsystem, and then we can tie that in with the other subsystems as well. So under the mechanical subsystem, we have two main branches. So we have structures and aerodynamics, and we have vehicle dynamics, as you can see on the screen right now. So structures and aerodynamics basically deals with the outer body of the car, the chassis, how you can get, I hope my audio is clear right now, but how you can get the car to be the strongest as possible and lightweight, and to ensure that basically with regards to aerodynamics, to ensure that it goes fast, because that is part of one of our tests as well in one of the competitions that we participate in. And in vehicle dynamics, we basically focus on car parts like suspension, steering, braking. stuff like that, getting the angles right, testing the car when everything is put together. And so basically, we work hand in hand with each other, the two team structures and vehicle dynamics as well. And at the end of it, we also work hand in hand with regards to designing. So we use multiple CAD softwares. We analyze also on different softwares. So that's kind of what we do at mechanical. Electrical, Akshat?
So speaking for electrical, we are also divided in two branches. One is HVS, high voltage systems. So HVS deals with main components like motors and batteries. So these are the two main important parts which we have in a electric car. And apart from that, in our car we have solar panels and MPPT. These are the main components which comes under HVS, and these are mainly responsible for making the car move, how the car will work. So like without these, the car, it's no point of having a car. And the other branch is LVS, low voltage systems, and Akshat can brief you more about it.
Yeah, so guys, as Shivit said, that high voltage system is responsible for, procuring the energy through different solar panels and the motors and the MPPTs. But after that, these components have a lot of data that needs to be evaluated. There are sensors like the temperature sensor and also the smoke sensor. So these things are responsible for keeping the car secure. Let's say when your battery is going to a higher temperature, temperature sensor is responsible for bringing it to the notice of the driver that there is some problem and you need to check it out what is the same. So low voltage system basically handles the data telemetry and basically everything related to the low voltage components.
Okay, yeah, got it. That's so that covers, of course, the technical parts of the car, correct? How about management? How does that slot into?
Yeah. So essentially management is the glue that ties it all together, makes sure everything coordinates. So within management we have four primary divisions. There's finance and sponsorship, logistics, PR and marketing, and then there's web dev. So web dev is what keeps our site up and going, making it look good, and so people can see and know exactly what we're doing. PR and marketing, they're the guys who essentially uphold the image of Solar Mobile. They put across the message of what we do, why we do it, and when it comes to updating people as to what we are currently working on. And finance and sponsorship, essentially finance manages the finances of the team, monitors the expenditures. And sponsorship, on the other hand, they seek out leaders in the industry for sponsors, so that Solar as a whole gets more resources available to itself, and so that we can grow on an overall. And then logistics kind of keeps track of all the resources, identifies vendors or certain parts that are required for the vehicle, and follows up with everybody else accordingly.
Or it's just all of the running operations that ensure that the mechanical and electrical side gets what they need in order to develop this vehicle.
Yeah.
Also, adding to the electrical subsystem, we also have a autonomous division. This is a new division in our team, and basically it is a Tesla thing where the car drives on its own. So autonomous is basically that division in our team that handles that. Currently, we are just in the research part of it, but we are very positive about putting it in the new car that will be coming up.
Perfect. Right. Yeah. Interesting to see you implementing that. Of course, we've seen in so many other student competitions. I mean, my background is from Formula students, so that's my only reference here. But even in FS, they have started developing driverless cars now, and teams are basically encouraged to install certain autonomous systems. Some of them actually being mandated now in all types of vehicles. Now, from market research, we have seen that compared to autonomous vehicles, of course, electric vehicles are the main priority right now. Despite autonomous vehicles being developed, the majority of interest seems to be sticking towards electric vehicles simply because that is the biggest shift in the entire industry. It's shifting the powertrain from IC to EV. So it's good to see that you're working on autonomous vehicles as well. Just out of curiosity, is that something that's been mandated in the competition as well?
Actually,
It's
there's
not
an
a
optional
mandate.
section. Yeah, exactly. It's not mandatory, but it's an optional section where you can, let the other people know that how you are very enthusiastic about working towards the future.
Got it. Right, right. So it's sort of like you get brownie points for bringing in those ideas to the competition, right?
Yeah. You're absolutely.
If I see on your website, you have a picture of the SMS1 and then the SMS2. One thing I've noticed is that the front portion, the windshield of the S2 is a lot. I mean, the inclination is a lot higher than the S1, which tells me that obviously the coefficient of drag might be slightly higher for the S2. Um, Without revealing any of your design secrets, could you maybe give us a bit of insight as to why you decided to change the shape of the vehicle?
Sure. So the constraint we had with the SMS2 was that it had to be a passenger car. So we couldn't let any of the passengers sit in a position which isn't very upright. So that was the main challenge. So yeah, so to compensate with that, that's why you see there's a cave like structure in the front, right? So that is what we use to compensate. Our main issue was that we couldn't use a non-upright position. You know, the way F1 or the other Formula uh, you know teams do. They have a very ergonomic, a very lying down position. We couldn't opt that. That's the main reason why we have a very high inclination.
Got it. So essentially, what you've put is a sort of inlet diffuser at the front, and then you disperse
Yeah.
that air from underneath to the side. Right.
Mhm.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's really smart. Another interesting thing I've seen is all your solar panels. I hope that's what they're called, panels or arrays. Sorry about that. Uh, I see
Okay.
that they're all flat and placed on the hood, which obviously makes sense aerodynamically. But wouldn't that also affect the performance of the vehicle? For example, if the sun is coming from the back.
Well, we have panels at the back too. So
Okay.
like we have covered the whole car with panels. So either way, we'll get solar energy.
Got it. Perfect. So now let's use that as a segue and bridge electrical and mechanical, both the domains. Of course, solar panels. One major downside to them is that they're heavy. They do add mass to a vehicle, which is obviously bad for efficiency. Inevitable, but still bad. Just like how in electric vehicles, the battery itself is huge. So how do you find the optimal compromise?
Actually, as you were saying that the panels have become very, add a lot of weight. But following the current trend, many great companies like BenQ Solar, then REC, they are coming up with very light and flexible panels. To reduce the carbon emission according to the Paris Agreement. This is one of the major requirement. We are implementing this through the method of a car. But even in the industries, the solar electricity is being used a lot. So that's why being innovative is very important currently, and the companies are trying to come up with the panels that are pretty lightweight and thin, so that you can increase your what we say, the power to weight ratio. The exact values I'm not aware about it. The mechanical and HVS subsystem can let you know more about it.
And also about a new car. So in a new car, it's a one-seater car. It's more like a sports car. So it has so the battery is not very big, and it has a powerful motor. Like it's designed to run for a small time. So like a small number of panels can charge the battery pretty quickly. So like hence we manage the power to weight ratio over there.
Got it. So it's based on the class of vehicle that you're entering into the competition, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So you said in the beginning it was the adventure class. So is that equivalent to maybe the road variant, or what? How does the what are the different types of classes, and how do you
Uh,
split that amongst the competition?
yeah. So there are two types. There's passenger class and there's an adventure class.
Okay, got it. Yeah.
So the last three cars you've seen, so these can be categorized as passenger, and
Yeah.
the one which we are coming up with, which is in still in manufacturing stage, that is an adventure class. So adventure is more like the off-road class, and the passenger is more to focused towards having more of a commercial viability.
Okay, so the adventure class is basically like a recreational vehicle that you would take
Yeah,
maybe on a weekend somewhere to a dirt track or to a potential
probably.
racetrack,
Yeah,
right?
it's actually limited to a to one seat.
Right.
So it's more like event focused, not really for the not really for the markets.
Got it. Got it. Yeah. Yeah. Perfect. So yeah, that's awesome. It's given a complete overview of the vehicle. Just one more thing that was really interesting is when you were talking about okay, the high voltage system obviously is the heart of the vehicle and it's what runs the powertrain, right? But the low voltage vehicle, you were talking about data acquisition and telemetry. Um, could you give us a bit more detail as to what sort of data you take from it and how does that help you in optimizing your vehicle when you take it to the event?
Yeah, sure. So, like as I said, in when I explained about the low voltage systems, so there are many sensors. Even the car that that are commercially available right now, not speaking of the solar car that we are using, there are almost around 100 to 200 or 300 sensors in the car. And comparing that to us, like we are just being in a very primary phase, we don't use many sensors, but we used sensors like the temperature sensors and also the smoke sensor. And what is important is that you should know when there is some kind of problem in your car, or there is some sort of thing that is creating the overall disturbing the overall systems. So those sensors are very important for acquiring the data. Then there are microcontrollers. There are different kinds of microcontrollers that are responsible for receiving the data. Then we also have a small screen in our SMS2 car. So this screen is used to display all the data that is acquired from the batteries. And also we need to tell the driver about the charging of the car. It is very equivalent to the fuel in the car. So if the battery is going low, then it is very important that the driver knows about it. So these are some of the important things that LVS takes care of. And this is the importance of acquiring the data. I hope I answered your question.
Got it. Yeah, perfect. That's perfect. Yeah, basically it's all the vital signs of the cars. I mean, well, we'll use an analogy just like how the ECU takes all of the sensor data from the engine to monitor engine performance. But what your low voltage system does is it takes all of the electrical data, all the motor data, and potentially the battery pack as well, and just basically displays it for the driver, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It's very similar to ECU, but it has more to do than the ECU.
Got it. Right. So curious now that I think about it. Obviously, a pure combustion vehicle runs on the combustion power. You burn the petrol, releases energy. Pure electric, it already has the energy stored in the form of a battery, so it's the fuel or the battery. Now that I think about it, your solar vehicle is very similar to a hybrid vehicle because it's basically converting one form of power to another. Now you look at hybrid powertrains, you have series and parallel, and basically you can use engine power to generate electrical energy which is stored into a battery and then you release it. So that's something, it's just an interesting thought that popped up to me. It seems to have a very unique placement in the distribution of the market, solar power. So with that, we'll just get into a few details of your event. So what sort of events have you gone to? What are the names of those events? And then if you could maybe run us through a day by, if you could give a day by day run through of what you do at the event.
Okay, so essentially, the kind of events that we go for, they're either they're competitions like such as ESVC, which are based on certain parameters, or we participate in expos. So one of the events that we had participated in is we had participated in IIT Bombay's Tech Fest with Ujjwal category, and we went in with our car Surf, and we placed first prize in that event. And following from there, like SMS1 had placed first in the ASME student led design challenge, and SMS2 was displayed at Bangalore Expo. So that is generally the target as to what Solar Mobile does when it comes to competitive events.
Okay, got it. So it's more of taking part in generic engineering challenges as opposed to just taking part in one specific type of event, right?
Yeah, as I mentioned earlier, that for us it's a little restricted space. So that's why we also, and since it's a technology which hasn't been uh, been gone into looking from a commercial point of view, right? If we talk about formula projects, as you're aware of, so they involve combustion engine. That's something people are actually aware of. These are topics which are already read upon. But solar car isn't something which has been pondered upon previously. So it's more of an innovation stage as compared to a competing stage for us. For us as a whole uh, area, as a solar car competing scene.
And it's not only limited to competitions that other like engineering universities hold per se. So we have like the ESVC competition, which unfortunately got postponed this year because of COVID. But under that, that is one of our main competitions that we try to take part in. So we have like a dynamic scrutineering round, a static scrutineering round, and basically they measure like dimensions of the car. We have separate tests that we have to pass in order to go to like the next round per se. And as the members from electrical mentioned, we have optional rounds which also kind of boost the fact that hey, we are interested in this and we're doing this as a passion and we want to see this happen in the future on like a commercial scale. So it's not only restricted to universities, but unfortunately this year it got postponed, so we'll have to wait for next year.
Got it. Yeah. Unfortunately, like a lot of potential competitions where people could have actually taken their designs and working models have been postponed. I think everything has gone virtual now. As far as I'm aware, quite a few events have gone virtual, especially within India as well. Uh, yeah, so that's exactly what I was looking into, the dynamic and static. Well, we start off with the scrutineering, specifically dynamic scrutineering. So, what is your vehicle judged on when it comes to passing a certain set of regulations?
Right. So we have a couple of tests that are compulsory. Basically, if we fail any one of those tests, we're kicked out of the competition. It's as straightforward as that. So we start off with like, I'm just reading off a list right now because
Right.
it's a lot. So we have the weight test, the brakes test, acceleration test, hill climbs, and then we have like a whole circuit that has been designed so that they can actually test how well our car like maneuvers through like curves and stuff like that, basically to test how good it would be in like real life circumstances basically. Then obviously we have like an endurance round also, and we have a couple of optional rounds which focuses on like the autonomous subsystem per se. So that's what basically happens in dynamic scrutineering.
Okay, got it. And basically, you get awarded points based on your relative
Yeah.
performance with other teams, right? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
And then how about statics? Presumably, you would have a design event and then perhaps
Yes.
a cost and business event.
Right. So under static, as I mentioned earlier, we deal with the dimensions of the car, the ergonomics of the car, stuff like that. So we have like a maximum value that we're supposed to stick to, and the car's dimension should come within that. Like stuff like anything and everything basically with regards to dimensions of the car, with regards to even the panels of the car, lights, indicators, stuff like that. So that all comes under static scrutineering.
Yeah, and then
We also have a round in which we have to sell our idea to someone. Like it's a proper business round in like we have to sell why our car is better than others and how it will work. So
right.
that is also involved in this.
Right. So yeah, that was what I was asking about. Like the basically the effective simulation of not just making your project, but running your team as an organization, as a company that could potentially be selling this on road. Um, yeah, and I think that's the beauty of all these all these events like Formula Student, Baja, and of course your event, ESVC. It's about having all the students come together and experience the whole thing as one effective simulation as a company while they're studying. And exactly for our viewers, this is what we're trying to focus on every single week when we have these sessions. It's just to show you that all of these projects are multidisciplinary. You will learn a lot more than just what you've signed up for. For example, I would assume someone who's signed up in your vehicle dynamics department will inevitably learn about aerodynamic forces and how those would also affect the vehicle. I mean, I'm just pulling that out of the hat. I'm sure there are so many more examples you could give. But let's not get too carried away with the technical side. You know, we could have another discussion someday on specifics of the vehicle. A point of interest was, you know, you talked about how you could show special innovations that you've brought to your vehicle that could earn you extra points. Um, let's again use that as a segue and get to the actual feasibility of putting your design on the road. Could you talk about the challenges you would face in bringing your current design onto the road?
Yeah, so basically, first of all, the problem lies in the battery. Currently, there are many electrical cars. Let's just, right now focus on the EVs that are there, because solar is just, a modification of, procuring the energy. Apart from that, most of the part remains the same. So current scenario is that, as you said, there are hybrid vehicles. So there are hybrid vehicles are quite popular nowadays. As you can see, the Suzuki and Hyundai, they have come up with very great hybrid vehicles and have been very successful. Around 4 to 5 papers, and the actual thing is, I said, the battery is the problem to that of engine run car, that is an IC engine car. So speaking about the solar vehicle cars, there are the companies like Toyota, and they have tried to come up with the idea of solar cars being used, but there are many problems with it for now. But I'm pretty sure 100 years back, even the IC engine car was had a lot of problems to come on the way on the roads. So I'm very positive that and many companies have projected that by the years of 2030 and 2050s, almost more than 50% of cars will be completely electric vehicles. So that is something we're looking forward to.
Yeah, so I think you got cut off a bit because of network issues in the middle, but the gist of it is you're talking about how it's the powertrain that's going to be the biggest challenge, right? Especially in terms of holding that power in the battery.
Yeah, and also while running the car, the solar panels, there are being a lot of innovations, but getting to the point where you can actually implement it takes a lot of experimentation. We are not far from it, but we are not too close to it yet.
Especially from an economic standpoint, because of course these panels are made of series of semiconductors, and sourcing those materials. I mean, the materials might be available, but obviously manufacturing and developing it is again, it has an economic impact, and once again, you're manufacturing stuff, so the environment inevitably gets affected as well.
Exactly. The thing is, you can make a car with the, even with the available, the chemistries and other things. But then, as you said, the economic point of views get out of the way of a normal human being. So you can make a car of, around 80 lakhs or 1 crore, but it cannot be feasible for a normal person.
Got it. Right. Yeah. I think that's an issue that the entire industry is facing. Not just in the development of solar vehicles. its electrical vehicles. It was a big issue when hybrid technology also came into play. Not to mention the complexity and the weight of actually putting a hybrid system into a car. Um, so yeah, the battery and panels, we got that. Um, I know I don't think I asked you this. What is the range of your vehicle, or with your design? How long could it go at a reference speed that you could say?
Yeah, so SMS2 had a top speed of about 90 something and a cruising speed of between 50 to 60, and it had a range of around 120 something kilometers, I guess. It had a very big battery pack, and the motors were like there were two motors powering it, so uh, it had it gave a good speed, like, and uh, as per calculations go and simulations go, I think the range was around 120 kilometers.
Okay, so cruising speed of 50 to 60, max speed 90, range 120. Yeah, it those actually sound like really decent numbers. Considering electric vehicles, some of them are not able to reach that level. Um, at least, range, of course, is a big issue still because of batteries and involving, recharging batteries. But your average cruising speed and top speed are really impressive. We have around 5 to 10 minutes left. So in that time, is it possible for each of you to probably share a specific or a special experience that you've had in this team that's inspired you to push on or has given you a sense of direction?
So I joined this team, I think 1.5 years back, and uh, I mean the environment in our workshop is really nice, and we all are committed to our work. So, uh, like, we try to push our boundaries and make our car better in every way we can.
Yeah, unfortunately for me, I joined it just a year ago, and most of my time with the team has gone down during the lockdown. But the fact that how we study about things, this is not restricted to the my subsystem, but as a whole, our us the field of study, as I mentioned before, that it's not something which has been explored before in a lot of detail. So going into something unexplored is kind of nice. How the whole team works together, and it's a more of an iterative process. So every iteration is more of a surprise. That okay, if we simulate with all these values, okay, we are getting something different. So it's quite fun.
Another thing is that, especially in the beginning, when we all joined, we went through something called task phase, which is where we all learn like the basics, the very basics of what goes into designing a car. And you learn during that period of time that there's so much about like any like vehicle that you've never questioned. You just like accept it because it's there. But like the amount you learn and you learn how to question, that's something that it really opens your eyes towards like it makes you appreciate the whole like designing process that goes on behind the scenes that you don't know anything about and you never bother to question. So yeah, that was something that was really fun.
Also, as others are saying, there's a task phase we go through. So during that time, we learn a lot. Like currently, it's just been a year that we have joined the team, and there are some new recruits that we take the interview. Like they are going through the task phase now, and while taking the task phase, we realize that how much we have learned in just 1 year. It's really impressive that how much that the team can motivate us to learn. And one of the points that I would like to add is. In electrical, while I was a junior, I mean, I was just in the recruitment phase. We had a senior named Shiva. So that guy was, from mechanical. He was studying mechanical stream, and yet he was our electrical head. So that was really impressive for me, and I was really motivated that we can be so multitasking that we can study one thing and yet we can follow something else, and overall we can force ourselves to grow at a level where you can be multitasking, and you can procure a lot of knowledge. It's just upon your will and wish.
Actually, I joined in Solar this year. So the thing is, I've not really been along in the team much, but as you know, you go through the management task phase. It's a completely different skill set from what I'm actually like gaining or studying as a mechanical engineering student, right? So that aspect kind of fascinates me. And then when I see these guys putting out the work they're doing and their drive, that kind of pushes me further to be like, yeah, I want to do this. This is interesting. This is worth it.
Excellent. Yeah. Hearing all of this kind of reminds me of the phases I went through to the team as well. Start off as a recruit, go through that training phase, learn the ins and outs, the way the team runs. And then you start recruiting people. Then at the end, you actually experience the management phase. Uh, Truly tops up. It truly, seals the deal and teaches you that it's not just about knowing your subject. It's about working together as people. And I think on that note, I think it's a good time to end this discussion. To our viewers, I mean, we've had so many teams coming up with different ideas, different competitions they've taken part in. I think having Solar Mobile on board, you guys have obviously given a very different insight to vehicle development. And I think what really stands out is the fact that you you're almost eternal in terms of running that vehicle simply because you're relying on the sun. So yeah, definitely really inspiration. Really inspirational from all of you. So with that, let's conclude this session. To our viewers, stay tuned. We'll have more teams coming on board in the future. So just keep watching us. Subscribe to our page. Follow us on LinkedIn. And a big thanks to Akshat, Shivit, Kelly, Chirag, and Aryan for taking your time and joining us today. We're honored to have you on board.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Thank you, Sadhu.
Thank you.
Thank you
Sadhu.
so much.
Yes, Aida, thank you so much for having us, and I really appreciate it.
Cool.
We really appreciate it.